Okay, we still have the same students present, or has it changed at all?
We've added a couple.
Okay. Okay, so for those of you that are just joining, just want to welcome you to our conversation today. My name is Jennifer Sink, and I am one of the Associate Deans at Davidson County Community College. Just to give you a little background about me, I am from Davidson County. I graduated from Lefford High School. I have a bachelor's degree in zoology, and I have a master's degree in biology, and I actually live about 7 minutes down the road from here. So I am proud to call this county and our community my home. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our program. We have a Zoo and Aquarium Science program, and we actually have two separate tracks. So we actually have the zoo track, and then we also have the aquarium track. Now, the zoo track, to kind of explain the difference between, and you can probably imagine, especially if you've been to a zoo and an aquarium, you kind of know the difference. But the zoo track is going to focus more on land animals or terrestrial animals, whereas the aquarium track is going to deal more with things you see at an aquarium or aquatic animals. But there's still a lot of overlap between the two tracks because you're working with animals, and of course, animals have to be taken care of. Now, I do want to mention is these two tracks, both of them, they're a 2-year degree. So it's, you have your first year, you have your second year. And we actually have a relationship built with Winston-Salem State University that allows our graduates that finish our programs to go on to pursue a bachelor's degree in science in biology. That's a really great opportunity for students that are thinking, you know, I want to be a veterinarian, or I want to do research on polar bears, or whatever it may be. This degree, this 4-year degree, can help you pursue those higher level careers that you're interested in. A lot of our students, they just want the 2-year degree and they want to work as a zookeeper or work as an aquarist, and that's kind of where they see themselves being. But we now have this transfer agreement in place.
That's neat. I didn't realize y'all had a transfer agreement with.
Yep. It's pretty new. We're actually in talks with UNC Wilmington as well to hopefully have one with marine biology, but that one's still in the very beginning stages. But I'm hopeful.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, very excited. So this kind of shows you like what our aquarium science students do. And as you can tell by all the pictures, of course, you better like water. So a lot of what they do is focused on making sure that the animals, whether it be, you know, fish, an octopus, sharks, jellyfish, a turtle, etc., making sure they are taken care of. And their things like their enclosures, their habitats are maintained. Of course, you want to work on diet prep, making sure they have the food that they need, and also enrichment. But this pictures kind of show you, you know, kind of an idea of what they do. So I mentioned diet preparation. So these pictures here kind of show you what that is like. So, you know, you think about sharks, for example, that you see in an aquarium. Well, they eat a lot of fish. And so you have to have that on hand. For some animals, you have to chop things up to make it smaller, bite-sized pieces. One of the pictures here is kind of showing you inside the refrigerator area, you know, of an aquarium where they keep those things. And of course, lots of cleaning is going to be involved. So now, still talking about the aquarium side, is animal husbandry, vet procedures, and enrichment. And so our students, they work a lot with animal husbandry, which is just the day-to-day care of the animals, making sure they have what they need. Occasionally, our students get to help with various vet procedures. And then, of course, enrichment. And a lot of people will say, what's enrichment? Well, just like us, animals can get bored. And so they need things also to help occupy their time and also help engage their mind. And kind of, you know, you want it to be something kind of fun. So exhibit maintenance is the next one. And that's where, you know, if you go to an aquarium, you don't want to see a lot of algae growing up on the sides of the glass or of the tanks. You want to walk in there, be able to see a crystal clear view of the animals that you're looking at. So exhibit maintenance is huge. And as far as aquarium side, that involves a lot of processes. You have to think about making sure the water, the quality of the water is where you want it to be. And that's going to change from whether you're dealing with a freshwater exhibit or a saltwater exhibit. And I mentioned water quality. This is just showing you some of the kind of fancy gadgets that go into the behind the scenes area of testing water quality. So some things that are really important with water quality is going to be the pH of the water. Some fish actually can't live if the pH gets too low or too high. You also have to check for things like ammonia levels, nitrites and nitrates. And even more behind the scenes, you have these lovely large kind of equipment areas at aquariums that are called life support systems. And a lot of times we'll end up with some students, usually 2 or 3 per class, where they just really enjoy this. And this involves a lot of physics, a lot of chemistry and things like that. But in life support systems, this is what makes sure that we keep our animals alive. We keep the water, where it needs to be. Stuff's getting pumped correctly into and out of the different systems. So this kind of gets really technical, but our students do have the opportunity to take, it's called Level 1 Life Support System Certification through a group called Also. And I think one of the parts that most of our students enjoy the most, myself included, is the public and environmental outreach and education. So that's where you actually, if you're working at an aquarium, you actually get to stand there next to whatever the animal is and talk to the public about that animal and really work on influencing the folks walking through there, to think about conservation. For example, think about that plastic bag that you shouldn't throw out your car window, to think about things like that. So it's an awesome opportunity to engage with the public and to have an impact on what they do. Now, aquaculture is kind of an up and coming thing with the aquarium track. And so aquaculture allows our students and also people in the industry to produce whatever it may be, more fish, more corals and things like that. And those things can be sold. There are also some things are being used for research too, which is neat. So here's one of those Wordle puzzles that I think our aquarium science faculty, David Ring, came up with. And it's just kind of, thinking about all the different parts of what an aquarist, what they are. And so it's not just, I work with animals. I mean, there's physics, there's chemistry. I think it's funny, he has the word pirate on there. You also have to kind of think like a vet sometime as well, especially if you have a sick animal. Now, our program with the aquarium science track does require some internships. And so 2 of the internships will be completed at the facilities that are listed on this site. So for example, we send our students to Greensboro Science Center, Sea Life Aquarium at Concord Mills, Catawba Science Center. One of our aquarium graduates actually runs that. So he's doing really well for himself. We also send some to the North Carolina Zoo, etc. But these internships, that's where you work side by side with other aquarists. So you really learn about the day-to-day job. There's also a summer internship, excuse me, and that can be kind of local, or you can also go somewhere else if you've got family that lives in New York or in California, for example. So this slide goes over kind of the outlook for the job field. And so the job demand is expected to grow 15% in the next 10 years. The starting salary is listed there, $20,000 to $35,000 a year. And an appealing factor about the aquarium track is you mainly work inside, whereas the zoo track, you're mainly going to work outside. There is a lot of manual labor. Stuff is heavy. You have to do, things with tools and stuff. You can also specialize. And David Ring, our aquarium science instructor, had to add that last sentence about being around aquatic animals actually helps relieve stress and lower blood pressure. I always kind of laugh every time I see that. So Mr. Tongle, before I go on, does anybody have any questions about the aquarium track?
I don't have any in the chat. I think if I wasn't a counselor though, that's probably the track I would have taken.
Oh, I'm actually with you with that. If this program would have been here when I graduated high school, this is probably what I would have done. All right, so I'll keep going. And if anybody has any questions at any time, please don't hesitate to interrupt and just speak up.
I don't know if it's any of these students, but I've had several students talk that are interested in becoming a vet. So this particular, the zoo science may be actually appealing to them, because how long does a vet need to go to school?
So veterinarian school is typically 4 years after your bachelor's degree. So it ends up being about 8 years total. And that's also where that 2+2 or that articulation agreement or transfer agreement with Winston-Salem State can really help, because to get into vet school, they typically want you to have a bachelor's degree in a science related field. And so students could do either our zoo or aquarium track, and then they could transfer to Winston to get their bachelor's in biology. Then they'd be ready to apply for vet school. And the nice thing about that is a lot of vet schools require a set number of hours of hands-on experience. And the awesome thing about our programs is they probably have those hours of hands-on experience that they would need. And these students also would have the experience of working with exotic animals, not just cats and dogs. So I really think our graduates, if they decide vet school is what they want to do, I think it's an awesome pathway for them. And they would definitely be, as far as on paper, they would definitely look different than the other applicants from going through this program and, having internships at the North Carolina Zoo and, Greensboro Science Center, et cetera.
I'm glad I asked that, because that could really set our kids apart.
Right. Yeah.
Because I hear vet school's hard to get in as well.
It is. And in the state of North Carolina, your only option is North Carolina State University. Of course, there's some out of state, but there's not a lot of vet schools really in the country. And it's very competitive. I think last I heard, it's actually harder to get into vet school than medical school.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think I heard something similar to that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go ahead and start talking about zoo science. And so the first slide, we can see some of the different animals that our zoo students can work with. And you can see that it varies. I mean, we have penguins in a couple of the pictures, and we have a giraffe. We've got, tigers and lions and things like that as well. So animal husbandry, I mentioned this a few minutes ago, but basically when we talk about animal husbandry, we're taking care of the animal. We are creating an environment that's going to help support the growth and the development of that animal, because, when you see these animals at zoos and also aquariums, they are in captivity. And so the goal is to mimic their natural environment as much as possible. So here's some pictures here, just once again, of our students. Most of these have already graduated from our program, and you can see how they're working with various animals at their internships. Exhibit maintenance, we mentioned that back with the aquarium science track. And once again, a lot of these jobs is going to involve cleaning, just making sure that their enclosure, their exhibit is maintained and that it looks good and that it also meets the animals' needs. So you can see them doing a variety of things here in these pictures.
The internships, they're actually part of the education, right?
That's correct. Yeah. The aquarium track requires a total of 3 internships. We call them WBL, which stands for work-based learning. But basically our students will go and complete, 20 hours a week during a normal semester at an animal facility. So it's just part of the coursework. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And our zoo track actually requires 4 internships total.
Okay. Uh-huh. So part of your school week is actually spent hands-on with that.
Yes, we actually structure the classes so they primarily meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then that gives students the opportunities to do their internships Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Every now and then we'll have some exceptions to that, but that's kind of the traditional typical format for most of our students.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, animal enrichment, just like us, they get bored. They need things to do. And so this picture, or these pictures here, are showing us some different things that students have done to provide enrichment for different animals. And usually you want to do things that's going to appeal to their different senses, things they can grab, things they can, kick around or whatever. I'll never forget a really cool thing I witnessed at the Greensboro Science Center not too long ago. Is they have some new tigers there, and they were playing with this big massive ball, but you could tell that tiger was just having the time of his life, just rolling around that ball and moving it around. And you could tell that it just really, he was happy to be doing that. And so, watching animals be fulfilled in terms of enrichment, it's an awesome experience. So our students get to participate in various activities that help with that. Now, a big thing that our students actually start off doing initially is learning how to use tools. And you may say, well, I know how to use a hammer. I know how to do this, but we have to teach our students how to learn, to use a shovel the right way, how to use a weed eater the right way, et cetera. Because as we mentioned, exhibit maintenance is a big part of this degree or of this program. And so in order to maintain those exhibits, you have to be able to use a variety of tools. And once again, kind of the most fun part, I think, of our program is the educational outreach. And I've actually had the pleasure of going out to various elementary schools here in the community. And we've taken some animals with us, and we go and talk about those animals and present those animals to the students. That's always a fun experience. So diet preparation, just like for the aquarium side, is another big part of the zoo track. So you can see some of our graduates here, they've already finished the program. You can see them working on diet prep for the animals at the different facilities they are at. And then animal training is another, big piece of the program. And a lot of times, that involves giving an animal treats for doing certain behaviors. So you can see some examples here of some of our students and graduates, going through an animal training process. They also get to help sometimes with various vet procedures, as you can see here on this slide. And we have a Wordle puzzle again for zookeepers. So just like we saw with the aquarist, it's just some different things that zookeepers are also involved with: exhibit maintenance, working as a landscaper, using tools, being a curator, exhibit design, etc. So we also partner with lots of different animal facilities across the state for our zoo science track. So North Carolina Zoo is huge. Greensboro Science Center is another one. We've also more recently partnered with Rescue Ranch, which is up in Statesville or close to Statesville. We also partner with Rowan Wild, which is at Dan Nicholas Park, and also Duke Lemur Center. And so, as I mentioned, that the zoo track requires a total of 4 internships. You'll have one big summer internship, just like the aquarium track. You can actually go, you have more flexibility to go out of state if you decide to do that. And here's some more of our animal facility partners. And this just talks a little bit more about the 4th and 5th semester, that you'll be in different rotations at North Carolina Zoo. So North Carolina Zoo is definitely one of our big partners. So industry outlook, job demand is probably going to grow about 11% in the next 10 years. Average starting salary is $20,000 to $25,000. So you can kind of tell you're not going to get rich, working as a zookeeper. But the good news is, as we mentioned, we have that transfer agreement with Winston-Salem State University. And so that allows you to get your bachelor's in biology. And if you have that, it also helps you move up the career ladder at animal facilities. So you can get into more of a management position if you wanted to. So aquarists, they work mainly indoors, but zookeepers are going to work mainly outdoors, because no matter what, if it's weather like yesterday where the wind was blowing 50 miles an hour, or if it's snowing or whatever it may be, animals have to be fed. They have to be taken care of. So you will be working outside in all different types of weather. Lots of manual labor will be involved. So it's going to be a very physical job. You can also specialize kind of in different areas. And you can also help with reproductive procedures and raise young animals to propagate endangered species, which is a really neat program. And so there's my email address again. And you're welcome to email me any questions you have. And even if you have questions about the college that I have not discussed, or about a program that I haven't gone over, I'm still happy to answer your question, or to at least put you in touch with somebody else that can help with your questions. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
Does anybody have any questions? This was awesome, because I mean, I work with you guys all the time, and I learned new things today.
Good.
So it's kind of funny, every time that you think you know it all, you can learn more. So
there's something else, right?
Yeah.
And just so you know too, we also have an aquarium on campus. And so we have lots of different animals in that aquarium. And typically we actually have open aquarium events scattered throughout the year, but because of the coronavirus, we're not able to have those right now. But hopefully we can, start having those again maybe next year. And when we do, Mr. Tungle, I'll make sure I send you the information about the open aquarium events that you can share with our students.
Yes, please do. Please do.
I will.
All right. Does anybody last call?
I mean, it was nice to hear that conversation though, because I never would have thought like that much stuff. Like it would take that long to just be a veterinarian or just work with animals. I honestly thought it was just something that you could just do and it not take so long to get into.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the zoo and aquarium tracks, they're 2 years. So that's not too long to have to go to school to work with animals. Now, of course, anybody, you can volunteer anytime. And if you volunteer, you don't necessarily have to have a lot of experience. But it's actually getting more and more challenging just to get a volunteer position, because we have a lot of our applicants that try to do that, and they kind of struggle finding a spot. But yeah, it's definitely, it's a very rewarding job. And if you're thinking vet school, like I mentioned, the Zoo or Aquarium track, then transfer to Winston-Salem State, get that bachelor's in biology, then you could apply for vet school. It's a really good pathway to consider. But you got to be committed to that 8 years of vet school or 8 years total to get there.
I know I'll definitely be pushing this now whenever, I don't know how I missed it, but I know you said it was fairly new. So
yeah, it hasn't been, we've had it for maybe a couple of years. But it's something like, I think that's something that we have to work on as a college, is promoting, transfer opportunities like that. Because like you said, it's not something you'd necessarily think of, because we don't consider it to be a true transfer degree.
Mm-hmm.
But we have set up that agreement, and it's an awesome opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Sink.
You are very welcome. And like I said, once we get to better times, I'm happy to come to campus and talk to any of your students.
Oh, I will definitely hit you up for that. And I'm actually going to share this with some of my colleagues at other schools too. So
sure, please do. Please do.
I'm sure they either didn't know or forgotten some of these things. And
I know it's a lot to remember.
It is. This is how we learn, so we can help out students.
That's right. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah, and students out there, like whenever you have questions, please reach out and ask, and we'll try to find answers for you. Because
can I get your email?
Yeah. I will put it in the chat. Will that work for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Make sure I typed it correctly. Okay, there it is. Do you see it?
Yes, ma'am, I see.
Okay, good. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, or, like I said, I'm happy to meet with anybody. If you want to come to campus, we can wear our mask and meet in my office, but I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Sounds good. And if you guys want to, you can email me too. I'm just Tongel, Tongel. I should come up in your school email if you just put in Tongel. I'm the only one there is. Definitely the only one. But anyway, well, thank you. And I hope you, I appreciate it. I'm going to get you back in here.
Sure. Be happy to do it anytime.
All right. And you got to thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good day.
Yep.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.